Hey there, Carla here with Rebel Roots Nutrition. So I've put together a little mini batch prep for the back to school season. So I know a lot of us are feeling a little bit overwhelmed with new schedules and just trying to get out the door. And this is took me about 1 hour, but there's a few staples in here it's not going to get you through the whole week, but it's going to get you off to a really good start. So a few things to provide for breakfast, as well as snacks that are quick and easy to put in lunches or for the kids when they get home from school. This took about an hour. Just imagine what you could do if you had more time and help, maybe on a Sunday. So in this particular one, we've got some protein bites, we've got a quiche, some chia pudding, some fresh washed and cut fruit and vegetables that are ready to grab. Let's go ahead and get started. And at the end, I will provide some of the recipes for those that are relevant. Some of them are very, basic and self-explanatory. And then there's additional recipes in there so that you can swap out anything that maybe you think your family might prefer if there's something in this particular batch prep that you don't love. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do here is get our hard-boiled eggs going. So I've got my pot of water here, and that is heating up. While that's happening, I'm gonna also heat my cast iron pan down here to make some scrambled eggs for the breakfast sandwiches that we're going to make. So you can use whatever oil you prefer. Generally, I use butter when I'm making eggs, but avocado oil is great for high heat as well, and is a great monounsaturated fat. So while I'm waiting for both of those, I'm going to wash my fruit, and I'm going to wash my vegetables so that I can get these cut and ready to, we just want them to be pre-washed and pre-cut so that they're ready to be packed in lunches really quickly, as well as just something to quickly grab and snack on after school, so that we're not kind of reaching for something maybe less healthy and less ideal. So I'm going to cut my cucumbers that I've pre-washed long way, and I like to do it this way for a couple of reasons. It's really easy to, first of all, de-seed them. If you don't love the seeds, you can kind of just slide the seeds out. And the second reason is because I want them to be the right kind of shape for my hummus dippers that we're going to make here. So we kind of want to make them about this length, so give or take, so that we can then put them in our jars with our hummus. And then we want to have extras so that we can just put them away, and again, just have extra fruit and vegetables that are just ready to go. So for the peppers, we want to slice these long way as well. Again, long, nice lines here that again are going to fit nicely in our jar, as well as that are just the right perfect little shape here to throw into our container that we're going to store for our extras. Okay, so now it is time to drop our eggs in, both to scramble some eggs here, as well as to get our hard-boiled eggs going. I like to drop them in very gently. So I'm going to put together sometimes about 6 to 8 eggs here. It's kind of whatever I can fit in there, gently let them in. So I know everybody does their eggs different. I like to start the water boiling and drop them in when the water's already boiling, and then I leave them in and I time it for 9 minutes exactly. And that is feels like the perfect amount of time, so that the inside is not all dry,
but just kind of a little bit gooey. If you like them more well done, then you might want to time them a little bit longer, but this is how my family enjoys them. So over here, we're going to go ahead and get some scrambled eggs going, and this is just for the egg sandwiches. So just a few. So while the eggs are still boiling, I've turned off the kind of scrambled omelet style eggs here for the breakfast sandwiches. And now we're going to put together our hummus dippers. This is one of my favorite hummuses I've found. It's called Little Sesame. You can of course make your own hummus, and it's not very difficult. It's just whether or not you have the time, right? So this one's one of our favorites. So basically I'm just gonna scoop a little bit of hummus down there at the bottom on each of these. I'm just gonna place some veggies in there, just kind of long ways here. A couple different things. We got some cucumbers, some red pepper, and some yellow pepper, and you know, it just really depends on what your family likes. You could also do carrots. And just whatever you can squeeze in there, right? And there it is. We got our hummus dippers. We'll just put some lids on these, and they are ready to be packed into a lunchbox. So our hard-boiled eggs are still kind of finishing up here, and as that happens, we are going to just pack away all these fresh vegetables that are ready to go, clean and cut. So we also want to make sure we have a fresh cut fruit. Right now I have strawberries, so that is what I'm going to put together. All right, and our hard-boiled eggs are now done. So we'll take them off and we will drain them and put in cold water. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put our cut strawberries away, storing these away so that they're just ready to go and easy to pack. Now it's time to put together our breakfast sandwiches. So I am using some cheddar cheese as well as these chicken and sage breakfast patties by Applegate Naturals. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna put them together on some English muffins here. And, you know, just, this is, so that I kind of have some control over what goes into these breakfast sandwiches. The ones that we often are getting that are pre-made, there's a lot of added ingredients in those, unnecessary ingredients. And while, you know, there's definitely some processed component here, for the most part, I can decide what kind of cheese goes in, and I can choose, you know, organic, and, you know, organic dairy, organic meat, that kind of thing. So we'll gonna cut these open. And you can make, of course, as many as you'd like, but since this is gonna be one breakfast for this week for my boys, I'm just making one each that I will freeze. So we got our egg on there. And we're gonna add our sausage patty, and we'll add our cheese. Just like a half a slice each is probably fine. Put that back on there. Give it a little wrap. And then when I'm ready, I'll just pull them out of the freezer and stick them in the oven, and they're ready to go. Next, we're gonna put together our quiche so that that can get in the oven, and then after that, we'll put together our chia pudding. So for the quiche, I do not make a pie crust. That is not something I've ever been good at, and it's also, you know, one of the areas where I can save time. So I do have a gluten-free crust here. You don't need to have a gluten-free crust, just kind of whatever your family's preference is. And then in the quiche, we want to have we're going to get our eggs. I use salsa. I also am going to add some frozen broccoli that I've thawed, and I'll add cheese, but cheese is optional, of course, based on your family's dietary needs. So I've got my oven set for about 350 for my quiche. It's going to take anywhere between 45 minutes to about an hour. So first we're going to get our eggs. I'm gonna use about 7 eggs. You know, might be anywhere between 6 to 8, depending on what else is going inside of your quiche. So between the breakfast sandwiches, the hard-boiled eggs, and the quiche, I used about 18 eggs. So as you can see, eggs are very much a staple in our house, and I really think that it's, you know, a really great complete protein, and just eggs are full of nutrients. So for me, I cook a lot of these for the boys and for our house, because I think it's really a power food. So we're gonna whip these eggs up. I'm gonna set it aside for a second, and then I have my frozen broccoli here. I just wanna kind of break that up. It's kind of easier to do when it's frozen like this. So we're gonna just maybe use a knife or kind of cut it up a little bit smaller. And then what we'll do is we'll add that broccoli in there. Oops, we lost one. It's okay. So we've added the broccoli. We're gonna go ahead and add our eggs. And as I said, cheese is optional. You could also use feta cheese if you prefer. Some people tend to tolerate goat and sheep milk cheese a little bit better. So that's something that would also be very delicious. And you can also skip the cheese altogether. And one of our little tricks here is we add salsa. So I'm gonna scoop in about, that's about a 1/3 cup of salsa. Maybe we'll go a little bit more than that. So maybe a 1/2 cup would be, you know, ideal. We'll add some cheese in there. Probably again about 1/4 to a 1/2 cup. And then we're gonna gently kind of whisk that all in there. And the quiche is lovely. It can be something that you heat up in the morning for breakfast, but it also could be part of your kiddo's lunch as well. Here's our quiche. It looks really beautiful. We are going to pop that in the oven now. And it's already heated at 350. And I will go ahead and, like I said, I'm gonna time that for 45 minutes to start, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Okay, next up is our chia pudding. So I'm gonna make this very basic. We do tend to add additional flavors and things to the chia pudding. You know, sometimes I'll add nut butters, or I will add, this one is going to have some protein powder. So this is a organic whey protein. This one I have found at Whole Foods. I think Natural Grocers carries it as well. We love this one. It's lactose free. It's very well tolerated. I think even by some of the family members in my household that do have some issues with lactose. So it's really like great ingredients, very clean, organic. So we like this one a lot. So this particular chia pudding is gonna, you know, there's a recipe that I was using that calls for coconut milk, but I actually prefer almond milk, so that's what I'm going to do. On the mason jars here, we actually have a measurement for 1 cup here, so that's what we want. We want 1 cup, and I do like to pour the milk in first because I feel like the chia otherwise gets stuck at the bottom if you put it in first, and it kind of just blends a little bit easier if you add it after the milk. So we have 1 cup each here for the almond milk. It calls for a 1/4 cup of chia. So there's our 1/4 cup of chia. And the recipe I follow calls for a 1/4 cup of vanilla protein powder, and I would just say go by whatever the servings is. And so in this case, it's 2 scoops. So I'm going to put 2 scoops in each. And then, like I said, sometimes I add nut butters. One of the ingredients I've been adding lately is actually peanut butter powder. So that one's just super easy to mix. It's a little bit easier to mix than the nut butters, but you can absolutely add sunflower seed butter. You could add coconut flakes. Sometimes I'll add that actually at the end after this refrigerates overnight, because that's what's going to happen next. Okay, so here's my little whisk. We're just gonna whisk that together. Just kind of get all the clumps out. And then put the top on, and we'll give it a shake too. And we'll do that with the next one, and there it is. We're gonna put that in the refrigerator. Overnight is ideal, and then it will kind of get, you know, thicker like a pudding, and we can then slice our bananas, strawberries, add our, you know, whatever it is, cacao nibs, pumpkin seeds, coconut, unsweetened coconut flakes, all of that good stuff on top. And there we go. And so in just about 45 minutes, let me give these a little shake again. This is what we've put together. We've got our chia pudding, fresh washed and cut vegetables and fruit. We've got hummus dippers here, some breakfast sandwiches that will go into the freezer, and our quiche. So next up, we are going to make our protein bites. So I like the 365 organic tahini. Sometimes you do have to give it a little bit of stir. It gets a little hard on the bottom, but I find that this tahini is, just the taste of it is my favorite. So we're gonna add a 1/2 cup of tahini to our bowl here. And there we go. We're going to add our maple syrup, which is a 1/4 cup. And you can always, you know, aim for less if you like. And then we're gonna add our vanilla here, which is a teaspoon here. We're gonna give that a whisk. As you can see, we want to get that all nice and blended. Now I had set this aside. We're gonna add this, get this stirred in. And then it does call for adding water as needed. So if it needs a little extra moisture, you can add water. And then last, we will add our raisins and our chocolate chips. We got our third cup of raisins and the 1/3 cup of dark unsweetened chocolate chips here. And then we'll give it a stir. And again, like I said, if you need to add a little bit of water, but I feel like this was just the right amount of moisture. And so finally, the last thing we are going to do is use a teaspoon or a 1-inch cookie scoop, or like a tablespoon probably could work, to roll out the mixture into little balls. And these you're going to refrigerate for about an hour. As they soften, they're going to fall apart a little bit. So it's best to keep them cold if possible in your lunches if you're gonna pack them. And otherwise, they might just be a great after school snack that kids can quickly grab from out of the refrigerator. Okay, so that wraps it up. I hope that you'll give this a try. Just remember, this was 1 hour. So think about what you could do if you put in 2 or even 3 hours on a Sunday. You know, you will most likely have to think about replenishing some of these things throughout the week. So there will be some more time needed and devoted. But I have linked here to some of the recipes for a couple of the dishes that needed them. And for some of the other ones, like the hard-boiled eggs and the quiche, for instance, like those are pretty self-explanatory. And I've also linked to additional recipes so that you can swap, you know, any of the ones that I provided out with maybe something that your family might prefer. So you know where to find me if you have any questions. Carla at rebelrootsnutrition.com. Good luck.